Hey, and welcome to When They Dared to Be Powerful, a podcast series celebrating the legacy of Black women in librarianship. This series highlights the contributing authors and the extraordinary librarians featured in the book, The Legacy of Black Women in Librarianship, edited by Dr. Nicole A. Cooke. Together, these stories honor the brilliance, resilience, and the leadership of Black women who have shaped and continue to shape our profession. I'm your host, Dr. Cearra Harris, and in each episode, we center the voices behind this important work, exploring their contributions, their scholarship, and the lasting impact of the women they uplift. Each conversation in this series offers an opportunity to reflect on legacy, what it means, how it's built, and why it matters. These stories remind us that Black women have always been powerful forces in librarianship, even when their work went unrecognized and undocumented. Before we dive in, y'all, if you haven't picked up a copy of the book, I encourage you to do so today. It's an essential read for librarians, information professionals, scholars, and anyone committed to preserving and honoring our collective history. On today's episode, I had the pleasure of speaking with Bethany McGowan. Bethany highlighted the legacy of Jessie Carney Smith in their chapter. Bethany is an associate professor in the Purdue University Libraries in School of Information Studies. She was promoted with tenure in 2021. Bethany's research focuses on information literacy and information governance in health and civic contexts, with particular emphasis on AI ethics, evidence synthesis, misinformation, and the role of libraries and educators in supporting responsible, evidence-informed decision-making. In this conversation, we discuss her contribution to the legacy of Black women in librarianship and reflect on the remarkable woman whose story she helped bring to life. I'm excited to share this conversation with you all. Like I say, y'all are always in for a treat, but you really are today. Here's my conversation with Bethany McGowan. Thank you so much, Professor McGowan, for joining me today. I want to jump straight into it. So, could you please share a bit about your background and what first drew you into this career in our field?
Yeah, I am from South Carolina. I went to University of South Carolina for my undergrad degree in English and history. And when I graduated in 2008, it was right in the middle of recession. And I originally thought I would take my English background and go be a lawyer. I wanted to go to law school. But law school was really expensive and the economy was bad. So I was like, what else can I do with this English degree? And I was talking to one of my professors at the time, and she was sort of like, have you thought about a career in librarianship? And I was actually working in the library. I was working in the public library as a children's librarian assistant. And I knew I didn't want to do that. So I was like, no, I don't want to be a librarian. Like I have firsthand like knowledge of what they do, and that's not what I want to do. And she was sort of telling me, well, maybe academic librarianship would be a better fit if you don't want to be a public librarian. So you should think about it. And so I was actually dating somebody at the time who was in medical school, and I went and spent some time in the medical library at the College of Charleston. And I really liked the librarians and the work that they were doing. So I was like, okay, maybe I could be a medical librarian. Like that seems really interesting. And so I applied for what was then the Cooper Davis Fellowship at the University of South Carolina, which basically helps fund your MLIS degree. I won it. And like just having a funded master's degree is how I ended up in librarianship. And yeah, I went ahead, I pursued health sciences librarianship, graduated with my MLIS in 2010. And I've been a librarian ever since then. And I've been a medical librarian basically the whole time too. So that's been my sort of journey into librarianship.
That's awesome. I'm so curious about medical librarians. I was a public library girl, so I think I don't know as much. So that's something I'm really curious about, especially now that I'm in this new space. But we're here to talk about when they dare to be powerful. So what really inspired you to contribute to this collective, and what did it mean to you to be a part of it?
Yeah, so for this collective, I was invited by a co-author. My co-author, Jahala Simuel, was actually the lead kind of on this book chapter. And at the time, we were talking about leadership in libraries and how, you know, how to be a good library leader, what that looks like, and how you develop those kinds of skills. And so, we were doing another study that was focused around interviewing health science library directors, specifically Black health sciences library directors. And in the middle of doing that project, this opportunity to highlight Dr. Jessie Carney Smith, who is not a medical librarian and not a health sciences library director, but is like a library director. And she had, you know, like 6 decades of librarianship experience. So when she asked me, do you want to like talk to her and interview her? I thought like, yes, it would be great to figure out how she became a library director and then how, you know, then a dean and what her journey was. And it kind of synced really well with the work that we were already doing. And so that's how I ended up on the project.
Without giving us too much of Dr. Carney Smith's story, can you just tell us some of the highlights, something that was most compelling to you that will draw these readers in?
Yeah. Well, I think she had like 6 decades of library experience. I think she was the first, like the first or second, I think actually the first PhD um recipient at the University of Illinois. And I think listening to her story, I think it was really compelling to hear her talk about balancing being a mother, being a wife with like librarianship, because she was sort of on this pretty rapid upward trajectory. And then she stopped and went back to school and got her PhD, and then she like jumped back in it. And so I think that just her story and her journey were really interesting and really like telling for the times, but still applicable today to like how women were expected to still carry like a heavy domestic burden while also balancing some professional duties. And so to me, I think she did a great job of doing of like talking about that balance and actually balancing things. And then I really liked that she wrote a lot. She wrote a lot of books that really highlighted Black excellence, and that was kind of her thing and how she made her name. And I think that's kind of how I knew Jessie Carney Smith before the interview for writing some of the books that I know that really highlight Black excellence. And so, um, yeah, I think those two things, like just, you know, being an early PhD recipient and then using her mastery of the academy to create really useful resources that highlight Black people in a positive way.
It's awesome. That's beautiful. Now that you're on the other side, it seems really inspiring. It's looking at you and your eyes lighting up while you talk about it. It seems like it was inspiring to you as well.
Oh,
Did
yes,
it,
yeah.
your perspective in the work that you do or where you're at in the field, like what do you want to do next? Did reading her story do that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think when I was seriously thinking about leadership when we wrote this. Oh my gosh, when was that? Right around the pandemic, I believe, because we were still in lockdown. So maybe 2021-ish is when we were interviewing Dr. Carney Smith. And I, you know, I've been a librarian now for, I graduated in 2010. So it's been like 15 years. And I'm right at the point in my career where I'm thinking about, like, now that I've done a lot of the fun things that I want to do, like develop my teaching and research, like stepping in leadership is probably the next best step. And so we did that interview with her. She was wonderful to talk to. We actually talked to her twice to collect data, but then she emailed us a couple times in addition to that just to check in. So that was really nice to hear from her. And then I did the other project that I was talking about where we looked at the other like 13 or so health sciences library directors in the US. And then I went on and did the ARL Leadership and Career Development Program in 2022-23. And that's a library leadership development program. And yeah, I think that, you know, my trajectory has now certainly been one that I think has done a good job of preparing me for a leadership role. And so, you know, don't be too surprised if you hear from me in the very near future talking about me stepping into one of the directory level roles that, that I talked to Dr. Smith about. And I will say I do know, so Dr. Smith is a dean of a library, and but most of the health sciences library leaders are directors of the library. So there is sort of a nuance there, but certainly the idea around like library leadership, I think, is consistent.
Awesome. Well, we're going to be looking out. I know I am going to be looking out for you to step into that next leadership role.
Yeah.
What does it mean for you professionally and personally to be a part of this book and this collective?
Yeah, I mean, the book is great. I came across your name writing the book. I don't think I had really been aware of you. I knew Dr. Cooke simply because I'm an alumna of University of South Carolina. So a lot of the newsletters and such that we get highlight her work, and I kind of knew her work already. But it's definitely connected me to more authors in the book. For example, I think one or two of the other authors in that book were also in my ARL Leadership and Career Development cohort. So I feel like when I looked at the list of authors, I was like, oh yeah, these are names that I recognize, people who are already leaders or that I expect to be taking on bigger leadership roles. So, or, people who are already in big leadership roles. So it definitely helped me. But I met new people following the conversation around social media, particularly helped connect me to new people on LinkedIn, and people are doing really interesting things. And I also just like things that highlight Black excellence, especially in times like these where it feels like, we're under attack and people want to take us back to this like ideal that like Black people haven't contributed significantly to America. And I think that these projects are really important. Especially now. And they were then too, but now I'm like, oh yeah, I'm super proud to hang my Remember Your Foremothers poster in my office. Feel connected to a Black community. So, and then I think that's personal and professional. So I hope that answered your question.
Oh, it does. It
Yeah.
does. So if readers could take away one central message from the chapter that you contributed to, what would you want it to be?
One message. I'm gonna keep going, right? I feel like Dr. Carney Smith's story is kind of interesting, but because the beginning of her story, she was not pursuing librarianship, right? It was something that she fell into. And then there was a time in her life where she stepped away from librarianship and then like stepped back into it. So I think the conversation is sort of, just keep your goal in mind and keep going and keep doing your thing. But I do think maybe for me personally, I read her work and I'm like, okay, I want to contribute to the story of Black excellence too, even if it's not me. I don't want to say being excellent or doing big things because I think writing is doing big things and being the historian is a big thing. But for me, it's like you don't have to be the athlete or the policymaker. Like there need to be people in the background documenting the work and writing about it. And so I think librarians doing maybe more of that work is really important, especially in the years to come. And just the importance of like archives, Black archives that we own and run, and being the curators of our own history is really important. So,
I think that's what reading the entire book in your chapter did for me as well. It's like seeing myself in these stories, like, wow, okay, have like similar upbringings or big
mhm.
stories of people from the South and those unique experiences, and then seeing them find their place in our profession made me feel like I can find my place as well as an early career faculty member. And I see that in you when you talk about it and how you light up thinking about going into those leadership roles that you'll be stepping into. I think
Mhm.
it's so important to be in community, but also to see our stories in the people who came before us, who like laid the groundwork. It makes it seem possible. Like these dreams that we have as librarians and information professionals, they're not too big. Like they're attainable.
Right.
Right.
Yep, I agree.
To close us out, looking ahead, what are really your hopes and for the future of LIS, especially for Black women and emerging professionals in our field?
Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's such a hard question because there's a part of me that's like, there should be more Black librarians. And then another part that's like, will this profession exist in 40 years?
Oh no.
Like, am I invited? Um, yeah, but I think that we need a younger generation to think critically about what the future of librarianship looks like in general, and especially what the future of Black librarianship looks like. And so I'm really passionate about working with younger people here at Purdue. I'm always advocating. We don't have a LIS program, but when I'm working with undergraduates, I'm always encouraging them to think about information studies or library science as a future profession. And some of them are, and we have a lot of people that are interested in archives because we have a really strong archives collection. And so, like getting Black students to think about it and, you know, what a sustainable library career looks like, and using myself as an example of how it can be like a career that, really supports you and takes care of you most of the time. But yeah, just pulling in the youth because I think it's gonna take a really different mindset from the one that maybe I see currently dominating leadership and librarianship to really get us to the solutions that we need to be sustainable for the next 40 years and onward. So kind of tongue in cheek, I think libraries will always be important, but I do, also I'm really concerned about this shift to digital and people talking about, oh, that means we need less librarians, and why it actually means we need more librarians and we need to be doing different things and teaching people different information literacy skills. So,
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you for lending us your expertise, for contributing to a chapter, and then thank you for giving me your time today. This has been amazing. I want
thank
readers to
you.
pick up this book and check out your chapter as well. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
A special thank you again to Bethany for their meaningful conversation and their contributions to the legacy of Black women in librarianship. Your work is powerful, necessary, and deeply affirming, and we are better as a profession because of it. Again, if you haven't already, pick up a copy of the book today and spend time with these stories. They deserve to be read, remembered, and shared. Thank you all for listening to another episode of When They Dare to Be Powerful. I'm Dr. Cearra Harris, and I'll see you in the next one.